Up next, we got Torq Resources, symbol TORQ on the Venture Exchange, and we're being presented by Shawn, Wallace, the CEO. Shawn, how you doing today?
Doing fine, Arlen. How you doing? Good
Awesome.
to see
Well,
you.
yeah, you've had some good news out of Goldfields and some good news out of your drilling from last phase. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm sure your shareholders and prospective investors are going to want to hear what you have to say here.
Yeah, I know it's a pretty exciting time as we're just getting geared up in the field here to commence drilling again, to resume drilling. And
Perfect.
we ended on a pretty high note, so we're pretty we got a lot. There's a lot of anticipation about what's to come here.
Yeah, awesome. I'll sign off and let you rip.
Well, thanks everybody for taking the time today to listen to the story for Torque Resources. And as Arlen mentioned, it's really a good time to be hearing about the company because we're about to embark on our fourth drill program, but importantly our second drill program with our joint venture Goldfield partner Goldfields. Goldfields, just to refresh everyone's memory or to let people know what's going on with us in Goldfields, we've got a $48 million US joint earn-in joint venture with Goldfields. Thus far, they've spent about $6.5–7 million of that. And that was that first phase that I talked about. I just mentioned. And so now we're about to head into the second phase with them. We're catching it early in the season. So for us, it's fantastic because thus far we've had these really small programs, and it's hard to get any real technical or market momentum going with them. But we're really excited about the opportunity to get out there with a couple of drills and just really pound away on this thing. We've drilled only 11 holes so far, and it's yielded us about three distinct discoveries. So again, really looking forward to getting back to work here. I'm going to be relying on this disclaimer for some of the forward-looking statements I'm going to be making. So if you'd like to refer to that, that'd be great. Where are we? We're in Chile. So there's about three things that are really important to our group when we take on a project, and one of them is the location, and location is very important to this story. For one, it's in Chile, which is a fantastic jurisdiction. You have all the local technical talent and mining history, mining law, all these sort of things. I'm over my 35–40 years doing this, been all over the world, and it just makes it exponentially more difficult when you have to go in and try and work within a system that's not established. So we don't have that problem in Chile. So boom, check that box. Two, it has to be the sort of place where major mining companies want to operate. Well, the who's who of major mining companies are all doing something in Chile. Very significant deposits. We're on a very prolific belt. Our project's located on the Maricunga belt, and importantly, we're located just adjacent to the Norte Abierto joint venture, which is a joint venture between Newmont and Barrick. And and a lot of, and as you'll see in the slides to come, some of our most exciting developments are less than a kilometer, 2 kilometers away from the Caspiche deposit, which is part of that bigger package of the Norte Abierto. There's several deposits within Norte Abierto. The two main ones are Cerro Casale and Caspiche, and you're looking at 30–40 million, like 50 million ounces of gold among all these deposits. You're looking at billions of pounds of copper. There's no doubt the endowment of this system. And so it's just a matter of finding that economic center of gravity. And that's the job we have going for us. In the 11 drill holes that we've drilled thus far, we've gotten big, wide mineralization, good gold, copper. I should also mention here on the start too, often when you talk about these big gold, copper, porphyry deposits, they're copper dominant or they're gold dominant. So I just want to make clear this is a gold dominant. So the most value in the rock is derived from the gold content, and then secondly copper, and then some credits in molybdenum and a little bit of silver here and there when you see it near some epithermal activity. So it's fantastic. We got an $11 million US program that's going to kick off here in November, and we're really excited about it. We've got the team in place to execute this. Look more to the right-hand side of the of the slide, because it's really, those are for using a hockey analogy, these are the players that are on the ice. They're the ones who are going to put the puck in net, not those of us on the side that support them. Waldo and Javier and Piotr, and a number of other people on the team. There are too many to mention. And they were one of the main reasons, obviously the asset was very interesting to Goldfields, but for these major mining companies, one of their strategies has been to invest in juniors and then utilize good exploration teams, so that the majors don't have to maintain those teams within their own organization. You've seen this trend here over the last 20 years, and it is sort of accelerating. Projects like this one are really important to major mining companies. If we manage to find an economic deposit here, these are the sort of things that really move the needle for a major mining company. The onus on us is to find metal. But the major mining companies are every ounce of gold they mine and sell, they've got to replace. And so that sort of affords us our place on the food chain. We're here to find those deposits, create those big transactions, and that's where we create all the value for our shareholders. So taking it to give a little bit of the setting here, you can see on this particular slide in green, the sort of green hue, you can see some of the deposits listed there. As I mentioned, the most significant of which are the Caspice, which is just adjacent to the Santa Cecilia JV that you can see outlined in the sort of goldish hue, and Cerro Casale. It's pretty interesting. Some people ask, well, why was this available? My goodness sake, this whole area has been, obviously all these other deposits have been discovered, and why was this one still available? Well, it was owned privately by so this is the first time really the Santa Cecilia story has been available for investors to participate in the public markets. Previously, it was either owned privately by Mario Hernandez, an extremely successful and sort of legendary mining entrepreneur in Chile. He owned this project before Caspice, before Cerro Casale, before all these things were discovered. And frankly, back in the late 80s, when they had he first staked it, he did option it off to Anglo Gold, and they did some drilling for sort of epithermal gold, for high grade gold, because that's what everybody was looking for at that time. And it was only several years later, and I should say they did find a decent resource of epithermal gold at the top, and I'll show you where that is in a moment. But that's not why we're there. Fast forward a few years from the 80s, and you see now Caspice has been discovered, Cerro Casale has been discovered. They ended up in big transactions into major mining companies, just like we juniors like to see. That's what we're hoping to repeat here with our efforts. And so Mario said to himself, well, my goodness, look at all this stuff being this porphyry mineralization. So maybe, is there a porphyry on my piece of ground? So he privately funded 2 or 3 drill holes, and one of them yielded 925 meters of 0.42 gold, and I think it was 0.21 copper or something, or 1.8 copper, and not a barn burner, but definitely 925 meters continuous gold copper mineralization. When you get something like that, you keep going, and that's all there is to it. So that was in about 2012 that he did that. And then, as people were wildly successful, he just sat on it for a while longer. He did have a preference to do a deal with a junior as opposed to a major. So through our association with Waldo, who the guy, our country manager, he's well known to Mario. Both of them have been known each other for 40 years, and we were able to make a deal. One of the main things was that Waldo and his team were able to do the community work. And one of the really important aspects when we first acquired this project, we were able to, we spent the first 6 months getting to know the community, describing what we wanted to do, and we could build off the credibility of Waldo and his team to craft a 7-year community agreement. So, another one of the big things you got to check off when you're when you're any sort of a mining company nowadays is, can we operate here? Chile, sure, jurisdictionally we could. There's mining laws and so on and so forth. But what do the local people feel? How do they feel? It's equally important as to any other consideration. So we're managed. Now we've got them on side. That's fantastic. So we've got good security in that sense. So, big mineralization, majors are there, communities in check. We've got great local talent to work with. This is just a fantastic opportunity for us. And these things are really getting more and more rare, that the opportunity to create this much value, this big of a deposit, particularly on one that isn't a retread. In other words, this isn't something that's been all drilled off and we're going to go in and make it better. I mean, I've been part of stories like that and they've worked out fabulously as well, but they don't always. And I'm really excited to be part of something where there's 11 drill holes in this thing and we get to go be the ones to find, take that first big swing at it and see where's the grade, what sort of resources can we pull into a pit on this thing, because there is no risk that we're not going to discover a ton of gold and copper mineralization. This is where can we make it sing? Where can we make it create value? Where can we demonstrate that very important payback period for a mine that makes it something that a major just must have in its inventory? I always say a picture's worth 1,000 words, and this is a good, opportunity to show that being true. When we first acquired the project, the drill holes that I referenced earlier that Mario had drilled were basically from the vantage point of this photo, you're basically standing on the drill collar, and the stuff you see in the background there, the Pircus Norte, Gemellus Norte, Pircus Sur, Gemellus Sur, these are all things that were unknown to Mario and his team. When we acquired the project, we rewound things and did all the surface work that Mario didn't do. He's not a junior company, so he didn't have the sort of burden of having to do all that preliminary work, which is vital and you have to do it. So I'm being a little bit cheeky, but he just went and drilled the holes to see if he had a porphyry, and lo and behold, he did. So then we got it and we did what we had to do because we were going to go up there and spend real money, made some big commitments to the community and so on and so forth. We had to responsibly go in there, do all the surface work, make sure we knew what the geochemical signatures were, what the geophysical signatures were. And that's how we came up with these other targets. So in the subsequent drill programs that we've executed and the one we've just finished with Goldfields, we've managed to successfully drill gold copper mineralization on all 4 of those targets. And they will be the primary focus of this next drill program. It'll be that area down around Caspiche. I will say, and I'll show you in a section here, but Cerro del Medio also holds great promise for us, as well as some other targets. But I think at this point, we're going to follow up on the discoveries we made. We've got to try and get some dimension on it, try and use the zonation, so forth, to hunt down that higher grade core, which exists in porphyries, just by virtue of the way that they're formed. The fluids come up, and generally there's an area with the higher grade, and sort of the nature of that deposition, if you will, of minerals is going to dictate what gets pulled into that pit out as an economic scenario. So again, this is just a little bit more granular on it. Again, you can really get a feeling for, if you look down on the right-hand side there, and you can see the Caspiche deposit outline, and you see, there's really no border geologically between what's going on on our project and what's been going on with Caspiche and the other projects. It's the same geological events. When you go subsurface, the alteration's the same. The minerals are being deposited at similar elevations relative to sea level, et cetera, et cetera. So, we have, thanks to that's a feasibility level project at Caspiche, and I'd sure like to see that feasibility study rerun now at the current metal prices. I think that would be a very interesting exercise. A little bit about some of the grades and stuff that we've got there. If you look at, when we first started at Cerro del Medio, the first drill program Torq undertook, following some of the surface work we did, and also following the alteration in the rock from the 2 drill holes that Mario did, and also being able to compare that to how the alteration and grade association worked at Caspiche. We were able to trend in the correct direction, and we drilled about 700 meters away from that 900 meter hit that Mario had in his private company. We did 557 meters, 0.38 gold, 2.3 copper. That represented, a 60% increase in the gold grade. That's the sort of transitioning, and you could see it in the rock. We could see it in the alteration. So we know we have to keep going in that direction, and we're going to start getting closer to that source. Then we headed down to the second program, Pircus Norte, Gemellus Norte, again, 500 meters, 0.36 gold, 0.078 copper, and within that 120 meters, a gram and a half gold, or a gram and a third gold, and a bit of copper. So And then in the phase 3 program, we were at Hamila Norte, another 652 meters, 0.42 copper, 0.42 gold rather, and 0.134 copper. So it just every time we stick a drill in the ground on this thing, it comes back with something that's very pleasing to us. We have not hit any economic center yet. But for sure. But these sort of widths and grades get mined all over the world all the time. Just when you get to link it up with the high grade, which we know will be there. There's no guarantee that it's going to be the depositional nature of it is going to have it in a geometry, and it's going to have held together enough to ensure an economic outcome. But the odds are amazing. I'm used to working on these things, and you have one of these sort of targets like that, and that's your whole story. Here we have 3 of them already, and we have a bunch more to try and develop and drill. So it's fantastic. We're very optimistic that we're going to come up with that game changer hole that's going to just bring all this stuff and rationalize it.
Shawn, we got about 3 minutes here left, and I do want to keep a little bit of time for Q&A. So let's try and wrap this up quickly, and then we'll go into Q&A.
You got it. Sorry,
Yeah.
I just love this project so much. I
Yeah,
can talk today.
that's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, obviously, I never really follow these presentations. They just tell the story, you know. The graphics are there. Here's some sections. If people want to go, obviously this presentation will be available on our website if people want to take their time with it. You know, there's no point in me sitting here babbling on about these grades. These pictures say it for themselves. You can see the extent of the mineralization as I've referenced it. But I think one really important one before we go is that Cerro del Medio and the reference I was making about how we're going to find that grade, because really this is the most important thing we're doing. Here on the far right, you can see that first drill hole that Mario did, the 925 meters, 0.21 gold, 0.27 copper, and then 700 meters to the west. We hit that 550 0.38, 0.23. That ended in mineralization. I'm sure if we go deeper, so we need to carry on with that. But that's important and that's interesting. But then when you take and you put, and on the far left here is a Caspiche cross section. I just want to show how the evolution over there happens. You know, they got 460 meters of 0.35, 0.15 copper. Oh, that looks kind of familiar to stuff that we're getting. And you can see as they moved across the same sort of rock units, with the same sort of alterations, eventually they found their causative intrusion. Now, lucky for them, their causative intrusion held together beautifully, and they ended up with a 1,200 meter hole of 0.9 gold and 0.33 copper. So that's what we're going for, and it's. I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but this is the sort of thing that this system can produce. You know, oftentimes you don't have an analog like this to compare to. It doesn't guarantee it, but it does say this system can be that productive. So, you know, you just have to get out there, put your head down and drill the holes.
Well, the best place to find a mine is beside a mine, right? So,
gonna get some.
Yeah, go ahead.
Key takeaways, you know, starting drilling now. We've got a fully funded project with Goldfields. We're in an amazing location, and we're in a much better market. So, I mean, I know investors, we've all been beaten down over the last year, but that memory's starting to fade, thank goodness. And there's all the reasons to be very optimistic that if someone makes a major discovery now, that there will be a way to create significant value for the people that had the foresight to invest in it.
Yeah, that's the one thing that's certainly changed over the last year is the market's paying up now for good drill holes, right? Finally.
Yeah, it's an opportunity for liquidity for people to get out, which, you know, obviously was the way for a couple of years there, a few years.
Yeah. We got 30 seconds here. Now remind me, Shawn, is the Caspiche, was that Exeter's company before they sold?
That was Exeter, and you know, at one point that stock, and it was a bull run. That stock, and I think it was almost $20, if I remember.
Yeah, no, that was a wild story. I remember that one. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and Cerro Casale was a significant takeover as well. So you know, 2 juniors went up there and created some significant value for investors. This is the sort of deposit you can really do that with.
Oh, and you're using other people's money to do it. So good for you.
Indeed.
All right, Shawn, thanks so much. Great presentation. Following it like a hawk, of course.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah,
And if
thanks
anyone
so
has
much.
any questions, our team and Ireland's are available. So please reach out.